You're listening to a CNA podcast.
Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. You've probably heard that before, maybe on LinkedIn, in a graduation speech, or on a motivational mug. Hi, this is Tiffany Ng, and I once believed it too when I was in my 20s. Instead, I see work differently now. Some would say from a healthier pair of lens. But recently, my Instagram feed has been serving up a lot of videos of 9-to-5 corporate girlies who post about their workday and are unashamed at saying that they don't love their job. It's just a means to an end for them. So, do you really have to love your job? And are you falling short or wasting time if you aren't jumping out of bed every morning excited to hustle? In this episode, we're finding out at which point do our attitudes towards work change, and is passion the only path to a happy and successful career? I have CNA Today intern Deborah Ng in the studio with me. She has spoken to many career and recruitment experts, and she's writing an article on this very topic. Welcome to the Work It podcast, Deborah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So as I introduced you earlier on, you are an intern currently with us, but I would say maybe you are about to launch yourself into a full-time career soon. At this stage, do you believe that you must love the job that you're in?
Honestly, I don't think you have to love your job, especially not when you're just starting out. Someone like me, I used to really buy into the whole find your passion thing. If you don't wake up super excited to go to work in the morning, then you've chosen the wrong path. But while working on this piece and speaking to many different experts, I realized how unrealistic that expectation can be.
This article changed your mind?
Yes,
oh
kind
dear,
of.
Oh no, what have we done?
I think what a lot of them pointed out is that, especially after the pandemic, people have become a lot more practical. Instead of chasing something that they're super in love with, they are looking for stability, fair pay, a place where they can grow. And I think that makes a lot of sense for me. Loving your job sounds amazing, but it also comes with this pressure. And it can be really stressful when you're only in the beginning of your career.
When you speak to your friends, do you ask them whether they must choose a job that they love to? We spend a third of our lives every day at work, right? At least a third, maybe even more for some.
I would say among my friends, it's a pretty similar vibe. I think none of us really go into our first job expecting to land our dream job right away, right out of school. And honestly, considering how tough the job market is right now, it already feels hard enough to land a job, let alone just a dream one. We just want something that feels stable, decent, somewhere that we can gain experience and slowly figure out what we like.
Yeah. When I started out, the job market wasn't as competitive and scary as it is right now. I think among my peers, it felt like there was like a pressure to find a job that we love. Because in my mind, I really wanted this job to go for the long haul. And I don't think it's like a generational thing. I think maybe more, perhaps it was a seasonal thing at that point of time when we had more options in the job market. It felt like we had the dilemma of choice. Right? So we could choose. When you were speaking to career experts, where does the pressure to love your job come from?
I think a lot of the pressure to love our work comes from how success and loving your job has always been framed for us. We're told from a young age to find your passion, and like you were saying earlier, the famous saying, if you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life, kind of makes it seem like loving your job is the key to having a meaningful life. And social media has definitely amplified this. You scroll through LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and it feels like almost every other post is someone announcing that they've quit their corporate jobs to chase their dream businesses, start a home cafe or passion project, and they get celebrated for it. Endless comments, likes like, oh, you're finally brave enough to break out of the corporate cycle. So I think that's where it comes from, this mix of what we were taught since we were young, as well as constantly comparing ourselves to what we see on social media, these highlight reels online. It makes it seem like loving your job is a requirement and anything less as settling in a way.
Yeah, good point. You mentioned earlier on that COVID changed quite a bit. Are there other things that sort of contributed to this shift of our attitudes towards work where maybe a job is just a job? We don't necessarily have to love it.
When I was speaking to experts, they also echoed this same sentiment. Before COVID, people were generally more willing to take risks with their job. You hear stories of fresh grads joining startups or professionals wanting to do a complete 180 and switch different industries. But then the pandemic hit and people saw how quickly things could change with mass layoffs, hiring freezes, and definitely cost of living has made this shift even stronger. People can't afford to take such big risks with their career anymore. They're feeling the pressure, so they're really looking for stability, steady income.
Does age play a factor as well?
Older people I've spoken to, for example, my parents, they told me that once they had kids, stability and flexibility in their work generally mattered way more. They just cared about being present for family and not climbing endlessly at work.
So once upon a time, I would say that my identity was very tied to work. So I saw myself primarily as a journalist. But for people who don't tie that together, who just turn up for work and do that, what sort of career fulfillment can they get out of that?
I think for people who don't tie their whole identity to their job, career fulfillment tends to look a little bit different. It's less about, oh, this is my passion, and whether or not the job gives them the stability and the space to live the life that they want outside of work. When I was working on this piece, I spoke to a lady who works full-time in marketing but runs her own art business, art label at the side, and she told me straight up that she's not particularly passionate about her office job, but the paycheck and the stability that she gets is what allows her to grow her art business without all the stress of, oh, what if this doesn't work out?
She has that financial safety net to catch her in case anything happens. But I think you brought a very good point, which is so far, I guess I've been always thinking about, do you really have to love your job? That job in question is that full-time job. But actually, things have changed so much. That passion project could turn out to be a job.
Yeah.
But we don't know how this will, pan out and whether it's the right time to make that switch. So having this 1 foot out and 1 foot in allows you to basically work towards that. So for people who are just treating it just like a job, do career experts say that these people more prone to maybe disengagement or even burnout because I don't care, this is just a job, and if things get a bit harder, I just quit?
From the experts that I've spoken to, it goes both ways. On one hand, if you're only in it for the paycheck, you may be more likely to hop around whenever something better comes up, maybe higher pay. And sometimes people take those jobs without thinking much about the culture at that workplace or the workload, and then they end up stressed, disengaged, or maybe even back on the market really fast. But on the other hand, there are people who are very clear about separating work from their outside lives. They just show up, do their job, and then they switch off when it's time to leave. And for them, that can actually be even more healthy because the job gives them stability and they find their fulfillment outside of work.
They're in a healthier mental state.
Yeah.
They don't see it as an all or nothing because there's something else to lean on.
Right.
Okay. So far, we've been talking about the employees, right? People like you and I, right? But when it comes to the bosses, I would assume that employers or supervisors might not like to have a team where people are just turning up and doing their job. They're not motivated, they're not passionate, because clearly bosses want to hire people who want to stay.
Employers are definitely aware of this shift. They know that people aren't just chasing passion anymore. They are weighing things like stability, pay, flexibility, culture. So the employers that are adapting well are being more transparent and realistic about what they can offer. One change that a few of the experts mentioned is pay structures. Instead of relying so much on things like bonuses, I think many companies are shifting towards stronger base salaries
Okay.
because they know that people want predictable income, and also showing candidates that they can grow within the company instead of feeling like they have
Stagnant.
to switch jobs every 2 years. I think flexibility is definitely another big one. Hybrid arrangements, better benefits, healthier work-life balance. They aren't just nice to haves anymore. They are actually
They're
deal
must-have,
breakers
yeah.
for some people, especially the younger generation. And companies also know that candidates are asking deeper questions about company values, sustainability, social impact. Employers are putting more effort into being transparent and highlighting those areas because it matters quite a lot for certain people.
Different people are motivated by different things,
Yes.
right? As a leader myself, if I have a team with people with very diverse work attitudes, so maybe I have two people who are very passionate about their work and they will do the extras even though I'm not asking them. They would still be replying to their emails when they are sick, even if I tell them like, stop, you need to stop. And then there are others who are, I'm just here for your 9 to 5. What are some of the advice that these career experts are saying?
From what I've observed and what some of the experts shared with me, it seems like not everyone is motivated in the same way, and that's okay. You've got people who are super ambitious, like what you mentioned, always pushing for the next step or big project, and those are the sort of things that drive them. But then you also have the people who are more focused on just stability. They show up, they do their job, and they want to put their energy into other parts of their lives. I don't think one approach is better than the other. Both types of people can add a lot of value to a team just in different ways. So maybe it's not really about expecting less from the ones who aren't so passionate about climbing the ladder, but more about expecting different things. For the ambitious individuals, that might mean giving them chances to stretch themselves even more, prove themselves. But for the steady ones, it might just be recognizing their reliability, giving them consistency, and making sure they feel supported.
This is something that we have also spoken on the Work It podcast as well about how you can motivate different team members, and I think you are spot on. Lastly, if you had to reframe this love your job narrative, what would you replace it with? Now having done this article and making that shift yourself, that mental shift, what message do you think will be a healthier one for, say, somebody like you and your peers who are in their 20s?
I would go with something like, know what you need from your job right now, because the idea that you have to absolutely love every part of your job just feels unrealistic and honestly a little bit stressful, especially when you're just starting out. From the conversations I've had while working on this piece, a lot of experts said that jobs can serve different purposes at different stages of life. Instead of saying love what you do, find your passion, maybe find the work that supports the life you want to build. Because even if your job isn't your dream role, it can benefit you in different ways, maybe give you financial stability or flexibility to work on side projects, or even learn the skills to open doors later down the line. A lot
That's
of that
true.
is meaningful
Yeah.
too.
So now that I know that message, should I tell my boss what my personal message is?
Maybe not.
Not right. Can you imagine if I have to, speak to my boss and say, this season of my life is not about being passionate about this job. I don't really care about this job. It's about the money that you're going to give me. I think that's all not going to sit well, right?
Yeah.
But it's that internal thing, like, what is it that works for you at this point of
Yes.
time. But I think that said, what we are also saying here is not that because you don't love your job, therefore you shouldn't do your best in it. But you know your best at any given time. At the end of the day, someone is paying you to just do the job, right? So just do the job. And if you just need to go back to your friends, your families, your health, then do that. There's
Right.
no need to try to kid yourself that everybody needs to be on this career ladder and everybody needs to be rising and racing fast ahead. Yeah, so thank you so much, Deborah, for sharing all these insights. You definitely have given me something to think about. What is my message that I have to go home and try and reframe? Well, so Deborah's article is coming out this weekend, so keep a lookout for for it. And if you have other work-related questions that you want us to explore, write into us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Me Listen, and YouTube. As always, big thanks to the Work It team, Ho Pei Ning, Janani Johari, Joanne Chan, Saya Win, Alison Jenner, and Nat Fetovero. Some parting words from me. Like your job enough to get through Monday? That's a win. This is Tiffany Ng, and I will catch you again next week. Goodbye.